So today is the day that we remember that we stand on the shoulders of countless saints, and we do so, I do so, inspired by the solemn and yet invigorating charge of our new presiding bishop, Sean Rowe. Did you know we have a new presiding bishop? Get some yeses. For the no's out there, do you know what a presiding bishop is? Okay, we're good. In his investiture then, as the 28th presiding bishop, Bishop Sean reminded us of the church's call to give witness to the process of what might be our own unbinding. What the unbinding of the church might be today. Unbinding in the same sense that Jesus gave witness to the unbinding of Lazarus when he raised his friend to new life. In a sense, what he said was, we as a church are to unbind ourselves from things that do not serve the great call of grace here and now. Not to become unraveled by worry or apathy when we are challenged or as we encounter the great sorrows of this world. His words were a powerful distinction between freeing ourselves from the shackles of what no longer serves us while keeping hold of the threads of faith, love, and justice that weave us together and will in fact, or I should say have in fact, been conquered, or have conquered death, I should say. The unbinding he speaks of is about embracing the radical, welcoming love of Christ as we find our purpose and remain committed to safeguarding our unity. Bishop Sean called us to embody the freedom to love as Christ did, and to be the church that goes out and engages the world, without losing hope of the sacred call to serve that binds us together as parts of Christ's body. And so it was fitting that, we had his investiture on All Souls Day, yesterday, November 2nd. A feast of the church year, or I'd say a day in the church year, that has roots deeply seated in our memory and propels us forward in hope. All Souls is the day that the church remembers those who have gone before, those who have, in faith, have lived lives of sacrifice and have brought us essentially to this place and this hour right here, right now. And it comes at a critical point in the church's year when we reflect on the legacy left to us and in some sense feel the weight of carrying that legacy forward in a world where memories often fade and the idea of belonging to a church, the idea of belonging to this community, a traditional community, is becoming ever more countercultural. But today is the Feast of All Saints. We sort of leapfrogged it, right? All Saints is always November 1st. Now we're having it on November 3rd because this is the day when the community can gather. And with that, I think Bishop Sean's charge urges us to look beyond whatever worries we may have and see ourselves as part of this great unbreakable chain, this great cloud of witnesses bound by faith and called to move into the future with courage and conviction, with the courage and conviction of the great saints of the church. In our scriptures today that Sarah so wonderfully read, right, gives us a vision of the future that I think should stir in us great hope and lift our eyes beyond the hills, not just to the hills, right? Just reflect on that great passage from the Wisdom of Solomon. The souls of the righteous are in the hand of God. I take that to mean that those who have gone before us, those that we love and see no longer, they are at peace, reminding us that no matter how weary we feel, we are all one in God. And you experience that, I hope, in Eucharist when you come forward and literally take God into your own body. Psalm 24 declares, "The earth is the Lord's and all that is in it." I think this calls us, right, to move out into this vast inheritance of God as God's own, as stewards, called to work with him in this life-giving work of love and restoration. We've been given the ministry, you see, of reconciliation. In Revelation, on All Saints' Day, we remember the great promise, the ultimate promise, I think, that there will be a new heaven and a new earth, where God will wipe away every tear from our eyes, and death will be no more. And finally, in the Gospel of John, we see Jesus standing outside of Lazarus' tomb, calling him to life, unbinding him from the grave cloths that hold him, bringing him, as it were, from darkness to light, from death into life. And so these scriptures, I hope you see, invite us also into that journey from darkness into light, from death into new life. The scriptures also invite us, I think, from memory into hope. And I pray from bitterness to grace. These are the words I think that we desperately need to hear when we consider our own call to build the church not with stones anymore. I'm not going to build new buildings anymore. I'm not going to build the church with bricks, but with people, with souls. Your forebears built this amazing building. Stones that I don't think you could ever find anymore. Each one of these stones is individually numbered, cut from a quarry a long ways away from here, and then brought over and assembled piece by piece. Our forebears did that so that we might have a place to worship and encounter God and God in one another. Now it's our turn to build it and heal it, soul by soul. And I think our invitation lies in the words that we hear in the gospel today. The words that Jesus spoke when he said to Lazarus, "Come forth." I hope we can do that by embracing the call of the church we need to be by becoming the church that goes forth. So how do we do that? I think we do this through stewardship. This sacred practice of caring for the gifts that we have been given and growing them in a way that nurtures others. Stewardship is not just about financial resources. It's really, when it comes down to it, my friends, stewardship is really about commitment. It's about saying yes. Saying yes in ways that God calls us to be here and now with each other. And that practice is so very urgent and essential. I think sometimes we may feel the strain in doing so, but it's not an impossible task, right? Everything is possible with God. Our calling to stewardship is therefore a calling to respond in thanksgiving, in Eucharist, and in generosity, and in a generosity that is as boundless as God's grace. And we have been called, right, to respond to God's grace with grace of our own. And so you can see, I hope, that generosity lies at the foundation of our discipleship. Faith is the fertile soil in which hope, love, and charity grow, yes, But it's through generosity that we begin to live out our faith as Christ's hands and feet in this world, his heart and his voice. And in fact, Bishop Sean's reminder to unbind ourselves speaks to this generous spirit. The freedom he calls us to is one that liberates us from clinging, I think, to what is comfortable, or maybe things that have ensnared us, to a world that is open and wild with the transformative power of God's forgiveness and love right here in Bartlesville. And here, I think it starts here, right, in this community. At least the prayer that we say, or we should say at evening prayer most nights, it's between us. It's between you and me, with each other and God, where grace abounds. The gift that changes everything. Grace is a gift in its fullness, and it comes from God. It cannot be earned or received, but in turn, it is passed along. Through grace, we are made more generous. I think we are made more open-hearted and more willing to give. And as we allow that grace to move in our lives, I think that gratitude will grow. And from that, it is my hope that there is rekindled in us a deep sense of ownership in this place and responsibility to care for it. This is the fire that fuels our commitment, or should fuel our commitments as stewards. To build the church, I think, for future generations, not just to be fed by it right now, but to be able to pass it along at some point. As we do that, I hope that grace will transform us and call us to feats that would enliven every soul. We know that as members of St. Luke's, we are called to be faithful to our baptismal vows. The same vows that were professed at little Abeline's baptism last week. What does the church look like for her? We are called to look for those places where we can offer kindness, where we can extend forgiveness, where we can be bearers of the light in this world that so often feels cloaked in darkness. This is our holy work, to be the hands and feet of Christ in this world, to carry the legacy of the saints who came before us, so to be able, right, to pass on the legacy to those who will come after us. So finally, may we all have faith enough to greet this vision with open eyes and open hearts. May you go forth from this place today unbound and unafraid, to love and serve in the world and to build the church with every gift that we have, soul by soul. May our lives bear witness to the grace that has saved us, to the hope that sustains us, and to the love that unites us. Amen.